All right, let's do this. It's what, May 3rd? What the hell's in May already? Anyways, I'm Taylor. It's a Cranky comic book review show. I go worst to best. And I'm going to start in a minute. It was a long ass day. I got told by somebody at work that I'm too loud for the cubicle life. So if I'm too loud, I can turn the volume down here. I can't do that at work. I have to talk on the phone and shit. I'm in marketing. It's what I do. And I wasn't even told by the person that said I was too loud. It was somebody else. I was complaining to somebody else, and then I heard it through the grapevine, and the one person's like, so people in the cubicles have been talking, and you're kind of loud. So I live in beige cubicle hell. I kind of live in beige cubicle hell too, so that's fun. Anyways, enough of that. Worst to best. This was not an awful week for comics, really. And this maybe isn't even the worst one this week, but this is where I'm starting. It's how I'm feeling, people. It's how I'm feeling. After you yelled at, you just get weird feelings. Anyways, Avengers War time number 5. This is the end of the run. It's Paul Levitz and Alan Davis. I really like Alan Davis's art in this. I've liked Alan Davis's art for a long, long time, and there's some really fun splash pages in here, and some other like really bombastic things. It feels like an older Alan Davis, not quite as tight as when he was working on like Excalibur back in the old days, but yeah, you get Alan Davis drawing a shitload of Avengers, which what's not to like? Well, what's not to like is this story didn't really stick the landing. It's been a Kang multiverse story that started right after the Avengers kind of formed, and so you have like these depowered Avengers in the '60s fighting a Kang, and they sort of win, and it's wrapped up, and it's a war across time. It's just kind of a limp ending, and there's room for more, I guess, but it's just it didn't like it's been fun up until this, and like there is still some fun to it. It's just the actual climactic action that you kind of want in this, where like they're doing a love letter to the '60s and an homage to all that. It was a bit lacking, so it's not bad. It's not great. Maybe read it in trade. Maybe read it digitally. Whatever. It'll be fine. You'll live. We'll all live, people. If I'm too loud, just tell me to be quiet. Anyways, next we have Star Signs number 1. This is Saladin Ahmed and Megan Levin's on the art. And this is sort of the start of a new university thingy. The art is okay, and the story is okay. It's just this. It's a setup. This whole first issue is a setup. And like the main character is likable enough, and like the relationships established in here are sort of, for what they are, there's not much to it really, but the father-daughter relationship is likable and kind of a nice change from like what you expect at the beginning of the thing. And I didn't know going into this anything about this. I just randomly picked it up, and I didn't know it was going to be the start of a superhero or whatever powered thing. I had no idea what this was. And while it's not awful for what it is, I don't have the energy to keep up with this. And it didn't grab me enough to keep up with this. The art is fairly simple and effective by Megan Levitz. And Saladin Ahmed, who's written Miles Morales, I believe, it's fine. I mean, it's all right. There's star signs and there's zodiacs, and it's just kind of, I don't know. At the end of it all, I just shrugged. I was like, all right, well, that's a book. And yeah, all right, that's a book. This is Mark Waid and Dan Moore writing Shazam, and you learn the sort of Shazam's new name, and it starts with him riding a dinosaur. So it's kind of fun beginning. It's Mark Waid. He knows how to craft a tale, and Dan Moore on the art is always great. Like I don't know how the hell he draws so damn fast. I think he's doing this and World's Finest and maybe one other book. I mean, it's just nuts. But the twist that happens in this is just not that interesting either. You get the Billy Batson character, you get like enough of the background. If you're not really familiar with Shazam, this catches you up in a not like beating you over the head kind of way. So in that respect, I kind of dug it, and I do kind of respect that Mark Waid does know what he's doing and like has got this pacing down. It's just the conflict established, kind of boring. Like just it's like, all right, that's it, that's fine. Again, and there's not enough meat in this one for me to really keep going with it. It's not awful. It's if you're a younger reader, well, almost everyone's young. I mean, I'm old as shit. So if you're young and naive, no, not naive. If you just like more young adult in books, you might dig this. Same with Star Signs. Actually, they're both all right. They're just nothing. Yeah. All right, and next, it almost pains me to rank this in this pack, but this is where I feel people. It's where I feel and how I feel today. This is Moon Knight number 23. This is Jed McKay and Capuccio. I love Capuccio's art. It just kind of feels like this book has lost its way and has lost its main thread. There's the Midnight Mission, and Moon Knight protect people coming to the Midnight Mission. So Venom comes to the Midnight Mission, and that's this issue. It's like another one and done kind of thing. You get some cool art. You get the Capuccio kind of inky, fluid, sort of abstracted, where you're like, I don't really know what the hell's going on in this, but it's kind of cool drawing. And you get like McKay's Moon Knight. I mean, it's a splash page after splash page. It's a big, entertaining romp here. It's just the B plot, or like what's actually going on in this book, feels like it's stalled. It feels like it hasn't gone anywhere in a few issues, and this issue doesn't really do much either. There's a new villain behind the scenes, sort of, and then there's a villain behind the villain behind the villain behind the villain behind the villain. It's all right. I mean, I'll keep up with it for a bit, but like it's lost its like sense of excitement and purpose. I think like when this first started, I really really liked it, and it's just kind of slipped down a bit. It's not bad. It's just kind of like okay. I mean, 24 issues in, maybe 23. Maybe I'm just fatigued by it, but I think it's maybe McKay's fatigued or kind of run out of steam on it. So. Whatever. All right, and this is another one. Like, there's a lot of weird endings and shit this week, people. This is, let me make sure this is the last issue. I just read this, but it's been a long fucking day. Yeah, it's the end. A lot to add at the end of this shit. Yeah. Where Monsters Lie is what if horror movie creations were kind of real. So you get the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, blah, 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 and like, and like they all kind of lived in the neighborhood. This is like not the only one of these. There's another book that was going on. Oh, Plush kind of had that. And there's a few other books that like have been tied onto this. And this is not bad. It's Kyle Starks and Peter Kowalski. Kowalski's art is like nice and gritty and kind of just abstracted enough that fits. Kind of dirty, kind of grungy. And Kyle Starks is telling a fun, over the top story. There's lots of violence in here and lots of like playing with these tropes. And I get what he did in this last issue, and I get that the trope he's playing with and trying to set up and trying to like make into a thing, it just didn't really feel legit to me. And so while it's an ending, which kind of like an abrupt ending, and it's like, oh, well, all right. And it leaves the room open for sequels and stuff, but like as an ending itself, I just kind of like, what, that's it? That's all we're getting? And that's, okay, well, I guess it ends. That said, tons of fight scenes, tons of gore, tons of like super, horror monsters fighting each other. So that's fun, but whatever. All right, next we have, this is from Whatnot Publishing, Astrobots #1. It's Simon Furman and Hector Tronick. I don't know. I'm not familiar with either of these. Tronick's art is very like Transformers-ish. I mean, and these characters. I mean, you have robots based on the sort of Greek gods like Apollo series and Stratoca and Baz and Solus. So you got like an homage to mythology, and these robots have been tasked with like preparing the world for humanity who's coming in a colony ship. I don't want to spoil it more than that, but this is a pretty intriguing setup. I do think it has a few pacing issues and a few like ways they could have been more exciting, but it's really not too shabby. It's got enough nuggets of cool ideas, and like the art, there's panels where I wouldn't know what the hell's going on, but overall, pretty solid art and pretty solid robots in the sky, go body Transformers-y themed art that's like pretty damn skippy. It's a one-on book, so like you get about half the book is the actual book, and then the other half is like extra cover, not variant covers and stuff. I would rather they just told more of a story and a new toy line coming soon, maybe. I don't know how many that's real, but you do get some gallery shit at the end, and it's fine. This is also mostly a setup issue, but the setup was pretty damned interesting. If you can find this one, I know a lot of LCSs don't carry a lot of Whatnot books yet. They're a pretty new publisher and whatnot. But yeah, I'd say this one's pretty worth hunting down, especially if you're a fan of the sci-fi genre or the giant robot genres. So, Astrobots, number 1. Am I going pretty fast this week? I probably am. Doesn't matter. I'm tired today, people. Well, I got a bunch left to go. All right. We have the Dawn of DC, Avengers of John Kent. Fucking hate these titles. DC, Tom Taylor and Clayton Henry. Clay Henry? Somebody Henry? What is it? Clayton Henry on the art. Feels a lot like Bruno Redondo on the art, actually. Pretty, like, heavy lines, similar, repetitive panels. Like, Clayton Henry is like Bruno Redondo kind of light in this. This is John Kent through the multiverse running into, like, he was chasing after an Ultraman where everyone was killing all the Supermens and stuff, and you figure out what happens here. And then you get something that's on the surface seems pretty nice, but you don't have a comic if everything is on the surface. You don't have, if everything's actually nice, you don't have a superhero book. So I'm going to leave it at that. But yeah, you get fun fight scenes, you get alternate characters, you get Tom Taylor doing what Tom Taylor does. Like, his zombies, vampires, whatever the fuck. Multiversal madness, playing around with the tropes of superheroes and playing around with alternate versions. If you like the first two, you're going to like this one. If you like his Nightwing, you'll probably like this one. If you like any of his other big-ass stuff. What did he do lately? Undead, Deceased, whatever. Undeceased, Deceased. I hate DC's titles. Like their actual physical titles, what they call books with a passion. Like Dawn of DC, Adventures of Superman, John Kent. Really rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? But anyways, decent book. And yeah, I'll be sticking with this one. I think all these Dawn of books get like a 6-issue trial run to see if they stick, and then maybe there's gonna be more. I think. I don't know. I didn't love the cover, but I like they should just let Clayton Henry do the cover. But whatever. All right. Next, Matt Kent and Jenkins, Tyler and Hillary Jenkins. Yeah. Horror is a kitty cat. Hairball number 2. That's kind of it. There's a somewhat evil kitty cat that's controlling this kid's life. I don't want to spoil it more than that. I like you can kind of get it from the solicits. You can kind of get it from the covers. Tyler Jenkins and Hillary Jenkins' art is really kind of loose and sketchy and fits with Matt Kent's writing. You get some dark, you get some light panels. This is not the cheapest book in the world. What is this one? $6. I think the first issue is more than that. And I think it was $9. So it's an expensive book. But if you're looking for kind of like suburban horror with evil domesticated animals, you could do worse than this. And you get like a kid drawn to the point of despair, and you get I don't know, like it's cool. It's a hard one to talk about because like it's a pretty, even though it's $6, the way this is spread out, you get the 4-panel grid and then splash page and stuff like that. So it's a quick read. I mean, it is, for like sometimes there's 5-panel, but you see what I'm saying here. When you grid it out like this, and like there's only a minimal amount of dialogue, the dialogue's in the yellow, like you're gonna breeze through this pretty quickly. It's worth stopping and savoring the art for, but like the story itself, it's pretty light. I still liked it. There's no trend for on that one. And then, two left. The Batman number 900, Chip Zdarsky, and a whole shitload of guest stars. We get Mike Hoffman, Jorge Jimenez, Mikel Janin, Adriano de Benito, and Clayton Cowles, a whole lot of variant covers. This is like the wrapping up the newest Batman arc, which is Batman versus the Red Hood. I can't remember the Red Shed, the Red Robin. I can't remember what the name of the villain was. But that's not really the point. It's Batman chasing. You learn what the villain's coming up to and why he's such a dastardly villain. You get chased through the multiverse again. There's consequences to this, and it sets up the next arc pretty well. I have a feeling this is going to be a lot of people's top book of the week. It does. You do run across variants of Batman's. Like if you've ever watched any of the Batman movies or read any Batman book, there's going to be a lot of Easter eggs in here. I don't want to point out a lot of them, but like you get Batman 66, you get a bunch, and they all make sense within a story. It's kind of a madcap story, and yeah, I dug it. It's just there's one book I liked a little better, and so we're gonna talk about that in a minute. But yeah, like if this is fan service, like this really is. It's like Chip Zdarsky one. Okay, like the last couple issues have been a little lackluster. So let's just throw it all in here, and they do. You get homages to Alex Ross. You get homages to the Frank Miller Batman. You get Michael Ebola homages. Like you get all these like treats in here for people that have ever read a Batman book. And then you get an ending where you're like, okay, I guess Batman's adventures aren't quite over yet, even though it looked like it. So it's fun. I'm digging it. I was not saying I'm losing faith in Zdarsky, but like just this last arc didn't really grab me until this issue. Pretty damn fine issue. But like I said, there's one book I like more, and your mileage may vary. It's another Kyle Starks book. So if you like Kyle Starks' humor, you're going to probably like this. Peacemaker tries hard. Steve Pugh's in the art, and Jordi Belair on the colors. This is, I thought it was maybe a one-shot, but no, this is like the start of a Black Label piece. Is it Black Label? Yeah, it's Black Label, so it's not in continuity. But Peacemaker book. And like Steve Pugh does a really good job of capturing the John Cena look of Peacemaker. And Kyle Starks does a pretty damn good job of capturing the over-the-top stupidity of that character, if you've ever watched the TV show. And I'll do anything for peace, even murder, that's the whole Peacemaker shtick. It's a fun book. And that's why it's ranking this week. And last week I was the same. The books that I literally just enjoy the most, they're going to the top. And like, this one's not going to change the world. It is dumb. Peacemaker's a dumb character, and like, you learn this in here. And then the villains you're fighting are dumb, but there's a French bulldog, and the art by Hughes is fantastic, and it does really do a pretty good job of capturing the essence of the HBO series. So if you liked that series, this is probably for you. If you're more into the Peacemaker continuity and the comics and the Suicide Squids and all that, maybe not, but I still think you'll find enjoyment of it. I think Kyle Sparks is an effective humor writer, and that's tricky and hard to pull off. I think humor, especially in comics, can fail pretty easily. But I think there's some laughs in here that stick, and I think, I just had the most enjoyment with it. So that's where we're at. There's a shitload of variants for this, too. So one of them was $10. I'm not paying $10. This is a $5 variant. But you get Flex and Peacemaker. And, there you go. So not an awful week. Like the bads weren't that bad. The greats weren't that great. Like nothing really, really was like, oh my God, it's the best thing I've ever read. But it was decent. So there you go. That's what I've got. I'm going to go talk very quietly. Actually, I'm going to talk very loudly because I'm not in a cubicle anymore. So I can just be loud and just everyone in my apartment complex will hear me and hate me and whatever. I'm still kind of blinky too because scratch cornea. I'm a delicate fucking flower, people. My one solitary feeling was hurt by somebody calling me loud. Oh, whatever. Anyways, don't be a dick, even if you're loud. Just be quiet. Be a quiet little dick. All right, I'll see you.